Good afternoon everyone, and thank you for tuning in at home. My name is Tilly.
And my name is Jasmine.
And we would like to welcome you to our one-of-a-kind Big Bug Show. So normally here on this amphitheatre we present in front of hundreds of people, but today we're going to be bringing the bugs at home to you. So between Jasmine and I, we're going to be introducing you to a few different species. Some of them you will know, and some of them you might not have seen before. So it is very exciting. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to Jazz, who's going to start us off with our first bug of the show.
So we don't just have one, but we have two to show you all. So here we have two species of our stick insect. Now there's actually up to about nearly 3,000 species of stick insects, and you can find them in most hot countries. So on this branch here we've got our giant walking stick, which is this one, and they're found out in Vietnam and China. And then we've also got our one at the back, which is that lovely bright green colour, and they're called the apple green, and they're found out in the Caribbean. Now, as you can tell, stick insects can be slightly different from one another. So our giant walking stick here is that generic stick-like looking creature, whereas our apple green is more like the leaves. And both of these features of them allow to be extremely camouflaged up in the trees, which is where they'll spend the majority of their time. And this is because that's where they find their food. So they'll mainly eat leaves. In captivity, we're feeding our stick insects things like oak, bramble, and that's all they'll nom on throughout the day. And our stick insects have 6 legs in total, so 3 pairs of legs, and that allows them to grip really well onto the branches. Now, if a predator was to come along, they could do something pretty cool, and that is basically faking their own death. So they basically let go of the branch, fall down to the tree, stay still as possible. So they're mimicking a branch or a leaf falling, so their predators might not know that they are there. And they can also lose their legs if they need to as well. And if they're young, they can regenerate those limbs as well.
Yeah.
So now we're going to pass you on to Tilly, and she is going to show you our next bug.
Okay, so the next bug is a little bit different, and we keep them just under here. So I'm going to pop this camera just over here for a quick second. Alright, so these ones are pretty infamous in our Big Bug Show, and it is one you will see right at the beginning. They're very exciting, and it is our incredible Madagascar hissing cockroaches. Now, these guys are pretty impressive. So they do come from the island of Madagascar, and these guys here are known as prehistoric, and that's because they've been around for millions of years, and they are absolutely amazing. Now, we have one going for a little wander on our tree stump here. This is our large male, and he is absolutely beautiful. Now, they can live for around 3 to 4 years, and they grow about 4 inches in length. They are the 3rd largest species of cockroach living on our planet. So you will see they are very brown shiny in their body, and that does act to help them with their camouflage out in the wild. Here at the park we do actually have one animal on park that do like to eat cockroaches just like these, and they live just in the woods over there, and it is our lemurs. Now these guys here, they do make a very loud noise. In fact, they have tiny little holes running along the side of their body called spiracles. And it is these holes that they push air out of to make that really loud hissing noise. And lemurs are actually really, really scared of snakes. So when the cockroaches make that hissing noise, the lemurs think that it's a snake, and our cockroaches here do get to live another day. And it's pretty much their main defense mechanism. So all they've got is their camouflage and their hissing abilities. That is it. Now these guys here, they don't scratch, they don't fly, they don't bite, they don't have any of those abilities. So all our cockroaches do is they actually do play a very important role out in the wild, which is where they'll get rid of all the decaying matter out in the rainforest, allowing for lots of new growth for shoots and trees, things like that. And it does mean that we get loads and loads of trees and plants and flowers. And obviously, as we know, trees play a vital role in ensuring that we've got enough oxygen to survive. So without cockroaches, we might not actually be here today. So we are very, very thankful for these guys. Now 99% of all cockroaches, they're not actually pests in people's homes either, so they do live on the rainforest floor, so that's where you'll usually find them. Now these guys here, there are a few myths surrounding them, one of which is that they can survive an atomic bomb. Now that isn't true, but they certainly can survive the radiation, the aftermath. So cockroaches can actually survive up to 75 times more radiation than us, which is pretty impressive. As well, and they can also survive in almost every environment on our planet, including the really cool Arctic tundras all the way to the hot desert tropics as well. So they're actually pretty impressive animals. Alright, so I'm going to pop our cockroaches back now, and I'm going to shoot you back over to Jazz, who's got our next bug of the show. So let's pop these back in here.
Now, luckily for us, it's a very slow moving bug, so we don't have to worry about it kind of wandering off our tree stump. And hopefully, it'll come out to see you all. So this is not just any snail. I'd love to see if you found one this big in your back garden. There's your challenge. So these are what we call giant African land snails. As their name suggests, they're the largest species of snail found on land, and they're found out in Africa. Hopefully he'll poke his head out to see you all. On top of that head, they've got their two antennae with their eyes on top. And the reason why they can go in and out is just so they can protect them from any potential predators, and that's why they've got this lovely thick shell as well. So if anything comes along, they'll curl up into it and make themselves look like a rock or a pebble on the floor. Now how a snail eats is a bit weird. Underneath that slimy body they have what we call a radula, and it basically grinds up all their food and stuffs it in for their stomach basically. And in Africa, there's kind of two main seasons. So you've got the wet season and the dry season. You can imagine our snails, they don't like it when it's really dry. So during this period in the wild, what they do is go up inside their shell, seal themselves in, and this is what we call estivation. It's very similar to hibernation. And then when all the rain comes back, they go out for a wander around. As you can imagine, they are very slimy creatures, so they're not too horrible to hold, and maybe he might show an appearance. If not, we'll just leave him on the tree stump here for everybody to see. This is the largest one we have, and they can be up to about 10 years of age, so they can live quite a long time. Their favourite food is quite soft things, as that radula isn't that strong. So we give them things like apple, and they can also take a little bit of carrot as well. We'll also give them cuttlefish bone. Now this is really important to make sure they get enough calcium into their system so they can grow this lovely shell. When they're born, their shell is very small, so it's probably at the very tip of here, and it grows from this side. So as they get bigger, this is where it grows from. Now, I don't think he wants to come out. Maybe he's not enjoying the sunshine too much today. Now, they're not a male or a female, and they can actually kind of go to both. They're what we call hermaphrodites. So as you can imagine, we're overrun with baby snails. They like to have youngsters all the time, and they're basically just mini versions of their parents. So I'll leave that there for now. I think we'll leave him out, see if he pops his little head out for you all a bit later on. And then I'll pass you over to Tilly.
Okay, so we're going to leave the best to last for sure. And this last species that we're going to show you today is pretty amazing. A little bit fluffier than the other ones. And hopefully you will like her as much as I do. So, she's my absolute favourite. And obviously, I'm a little bit biased here. And she loves coming out to meet you all as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop her there for now. And then I'm going to get her out on my hand so you can have a good look at her as well too. So if you're a little bit scared of spiders, do not fear, because this ain't a spider, no. This here is our Chilean rose tarantula, and she is called Tequila, very aptly named. Now this here is our tarantula. She's absolutely beautiful, and hopefully on our little keeper cam over here you are getting all of those beautiful colours all over her thorax. So she's called a Chilean rose tarantula because she's a lovely rose in colour. You might be able to see those glistening hairs glowing a lovely pink, and obviously she does come from Chile in South America as well. Now she's actually quite a small tarantula in comparison to a lot of them. The largest species of tarantula in the world is the Goliath bird-eating tarantula, and they literally they grow to the size of a dinner plate, which is about 30 centimetres in length. So quite small in comparison actually. So for those of you at home that might be a little bit scared of spiders, please don't turn your screens off now, because I'm going to tell you some cool facts about tarantulas, and hopefully that will make you change your minds on them, because really they are beautiful, fluffy creatures of fluff. That is exactly what they are. Otherwise, I wouldn't be holding her. So there is a little difference between tarantulas and spiders. So arachnophobia actually does stem in the fear of movement, and as you can see, our tarantula here is very slow. She doesn't get much quicker than this, whereas your traditional house spiders at home, they might scurry across the floor very, very quickly, terrify you at night time, whereas tarantulas don't do this. They're very slow, they haven't got much energy, so they need to be quite slow just to conserve as much energy as possible out in the wild. Now these guys here as well, they are covered in lots of beautiful hairs. Spiders aren't, so they are so fluffy. However, out in the wild, you do have to be very careful because these hairs can be used as a defense mechanism for tarantulas, and what they do is they'll flick hairs from their abdomen, which is their rear end here, into the air, into the hope that they might go into their attacker's eyes. Now these hairs can be quite irritating to their prey or predators, and it does create a stinging sensation, and it also makes you want to itch your eyes as well, which is why we have to be careful whenever we're handling our tarantulas, that we're very careful and we don't rub our eyes afterwards. So you have to be very, very careful indeed. Now she does have 8 eyes, and they're situated on top of her head. You might be able to see a tiny little patch there. So she essentially has one for each leg. Unfortunately though, their vision isn't the best, and the reason why they're situated up there is so that our tarantula here can detect shadows going over her head, because in the wild her predators would usually include things like birds. So that's the reason why they are up there. Now she certainly is venomous. Now her venom is about as potent as a bumblebee sting, so it's not necessarily anything that will harm you. However, I personally don't want to test her bite because I'm sure it definitely does hurt, but because she's so used to us and we obviously treat her with a lot of respect, she isn't going to go around biting us, especially not for the sake of it, and also it does use a lot of energy as well, energy that she certainly doesn't have to waste. Now these guys here, they do eat once a week. Now her feed day is on a Wednesday. She loves Wednesdays, and she usually gets 1 cricket or 1 locust a week. Now the way that they eat is a little bit different to most other invertebrates that especially aren't venomous. So what she'll do is she'll actually inject her prey with her venom, so she's got really big fangs, and then that'll turn all the insides into a nice liquid, and then she'll slurp it up like a cockroach smoothie. Beautiful. And that's all she needs is 1 a week to go, and then she'll basically spend the rest of her day in a den, chilling out, having a nice time. So it's a pretty easy life for our tarantula. Now spiders obviously are a little bit more venomous than they are, which is why they do get a bit more of a bad reputation, but I can honestly tell you that tarantulas are lovely, beautiful, fluffy creatures. They're not nasty at all, and hopefully after that you will grow to love them as much as I do because they are amazing. Alright, it looks like our snails come out to play now.
This is Sheldon, everybody.
So our little snail here is going over the tree stump, just showing himself off, which is beautiful.
And you can actually see the slime trail that they're leaving behind as well, so just on top of that soil. And there we can see those lovely eyes on top, and if we were to get too close, you'll do what he's just done now and pop them away where they're nice and protected.
We really are lucky because we've got one of the hottest days here at the park today, so it's actually perfect for our invertebrates because they like it when it's really, really hot. Obviously they're not from the UK, so any weather that we get like this is their absolute favourite as well. Okay, so Jazz and I are going to wrap it up there because we've shown you all of our species that some of them are not actually in our big bug show, so it's been really nice to get to introduce you to the new ones today, and hopefully you've learned lots about bugs. You're going to come visit us and watch the big bug show when we do reopen again. Make sure you stay safe at home, and from Jazz and I we'd like to say a massive thank you.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye everyone.
Bye.